Spirit has a question for you guys today. The question is, do you love yourself? It's the first question. And what do you love about yourself? What do you love about you? They want you to write it down. There's something magical about writing down affirmations about self, or just, I heard reconciliations of self. Reconciling with yourself. That's interesting. I never thought about that before. They never said that to me either. Reconciling with yourself. You know, when you reconcile, you come back together. That's the first thing that I think about with reconciliation. Let me look up the definition. To restore of friendly relations, the action of making one view or belief compatible with another. Restore. Reuniting, reunion, conciliation. It says the action of making one view or belief compatible with another. It's making me think about double-mindedness. It's making me think about when we get here, we get so split in two. We get split in two when we're born. Our consciousness splits. Well, not necessarily when we're born, but it's more so like when we begin to learn from our environment. And some are raised in healthy environments and some are not. However, there's always influence from a societal perspective that taints your natural way of being. I heard in accordance with your bloodline, in accordance with your lineage, because not everyone has the ability to access their true nature easily. It's like it's not easily accessible. If you want to know, you must seek, and you will find eventually. But it's not just readily available. You know, what you're going to get first when you get here is everyone else's story as opposed to your own. Well, that's for... I really do feel like I should just say like that. I was going to fix it up a little bit and change it, because there are some stories that are told. It's just that I just feel as though many stories that we've been told have been missing some key parts that would help many to really understand what happened, you know. And again, if you seek, you'll find. But if you don't seek, you won't see. You won't know any better, because you'll just go along with what you've been taught automatically. But just because it was taught to you doesn't mean it's right. So now back to, do you love yourself? What do you love about yourself, and why? How do you find loving yourself beneficial to you? How do you find loving yourself beneficial to those around you? Okay. You know, I noticed a change in my daughter as she got older. When she was younger, she was so much more free. with her words. She didn't care. You know, she had that carefree thing going on. But once she got to middle school, she became aware of her circumstances because she had really bad asthma. Well, she still has asthma, but she also had eczema really bad. And the kids used to make fun of her because her eczema was so bad. And she was bullied a lot for that. So I always had to reinforce self-love within her and self-worth. I had to go talk to the teachers. I had to go talk to the parents of the children that were bullying my child, because there's this thing that I noticed with children. You know, children can be cruel because they just real with how they feel and what they see, and they just say whatever is on their mind. But I just feel as though one thing that should be in the curriculum in schools is helping children to understand that people are different, help them to understand the differences so that society becomes more accepting of people and their differences, because everybody's not the same. And over time, my daughter healed, but she had it rough. We had it rough because me nursing her back to health the way I did, and so many sleepless nights that we had. Big improvement now. So much different. She's like a whole new child. However, that impacted her. That experience impacted her a lot. And she was so distracted with her condition, that with the eczema and the asthma and the allergies. It's like we're both allergic to the world. And it's funny because when I was pregnant, I saw a little patch of eczema on me right here, and I never had eczema before. But my brother had it really bad, and my father has it sometime. And then on her father's side, he had it, and his brother had it. So yeah. So I think that's why it was the way it was for her. But that free-spirited energy that she had, it had died, and I had to wake it back up inside of her because of the environment and because of her being picked on because of her skin. It was so bad at one point that it looked like her skin was burned. And it's so crazy how her skin is now. It looks nothing like that. She has a little hyperpigmentation, but it's not like it was. Like, that was extreme. And I went through a whole process to where I was taking her to the doctor, but then I noticed that the medicine wasn't good for her because y'all know what that medicine do. It's supposed to help, but then it caused more problems. So I had to go the holistic way, and then I went through I had to research on my own, because one thing about when you go to these doctors, they're not going to tell you something that's like going to pull the problem from the root. They only give you Band-Aid solutions, which is not really a solution. It's just a temporary relief. But then is it really a relief? Because it's just going to come right back. You know, it was like that type of issue that I was having, and I was aggravated with that, so I had to, figure that out. So that was a whole journey. Years. And so back to loving self, I had to reinforce the truth about her because everyone else was lying to her because they didn't understand. She also has a lot of food allergies, right? So I heard the impurities of the world affect some of us, like more heavily than others. Like when I have allergy symptoms, because I'm allergic to this place, sometimes I have asthma symptoms. and I could feel myself wheezing because of asthma. And I never had asthma before. That started like about 2 years ago. But it would always happen around allergy season, you know. And could it have something to do with the chemtrails in the sky? Could it have something to do with all these chemicals everywhere around us, right? I think about stuff like that because it's foreign. All of these things are foreign, including I heard including certain levels of consciousness. They're foreign. They're not ours, and we're taking them on. So when we have influence from foreign consciousness that is not our own, it toxifies us. Toxifies. Is that what I want to say? Is that the right word? It just came out like that. Or is it intoxifies us? Let me see. Cause or allow a toxic substance to enter. Yeah, it does toxify us. Have a damaging effect on. Yeah, that's the right word. I didn't know if it was right because I don't say that. I don't say that like that. See, that was a channel. That's spirit speaking to me so I can speak to you. So it's just crazy how what people say and how people act behind you. I meant to say around you, but behind you. People behind your back. You know, because people do that. You could think that they cool with you, and behind your back they talking crazy. And that happens as well. And then when you find out, it's like, oh, okay, I see you. Right? But I had to reinforce self-love within my daughter. And I didn't even know I was going to take it here, but I'm letting spirit bring me where they want to give you this message. And I started to notice she didn't want to take pictures, you know, as she got older, she was like more self-conscious basically, because this world, how everything is set up, it's like it makes you extra concerned about how you look and what people are going to say about you and how people feel about you. But I always have to bring her back, and we always have to be brought back. We have to bring ourselves back. I'm telling you about my daughter because it just goes with this message, and spirit just laid it on my heart too. But we have to bring ourselves back to love. We have to bring ourselves back to the true nature and ignore the lies, because we literally live in a world of lies. We must remember that in all that we do, just in case it was hard for you to answer those first few questions that spirit wanted you to answer for yourself in the beginning of this message. If it's hard for you to express what you love about yourself, just know that that's not your fault. It's the environment. It's society. It's how it's set up to estrange us. We are estranged from our true nature, from ourselves, and we have to reconcile with ourselves. When I think about that, it kind of gave me the chills. I felt chills on my arms. Just think about that for a minute. Usually when we hear reconciliation, we're thinking about like unrequited love and two people coming back together to continue their loving journey together. You know, marriage, you know how people separate and sometimes they get back together. That's the first thing that many think of when we think of reconciliation, right? But when you think about reconciling with yourself, wow, that's deep, right? It is, because that's what we end up doing. That's a whole journey that we go through. That's what this, that's a big part of what this journey is all about. The journey of life. Reconciling with yourself. We are taught to lose ourselves. Then we have to find ourselves. Do you feel like you have gone within to reconcile with yourself? And then another trick is to think that you must find yourself outside of yourself. That is like really confusing because of because of the influence that's placed in front of you. There's all of these different influences placed before you, and you see what you think you should be based off of societal norms, which aren't normal. And then you begin to alter yourself and your mind and your thoughts to go along with what society says is normal. And it's not. It never was normal. It's fabricated. It's a fabricated world. Let's look up the definition of fabrication. Fabricated. Invent or concoct something, typically with deceitful intent. Yes. Deceitful intent. Yes. Yeah. It says construct or manufacture something, especially as an industrial product, especially from prepared components. I like the first definition better. It's more like straight to the point. Invent or concoct something, and something is in parentheses, typically with deceitful intent. So, like institutionalizations and organizations coming together, formulating, concocting a plan. Let me look up disseminate. Yeah, that's the word I want to use. Disseminate evil intent or ill intent. But it doesn't seem that way in the beginning. It seems like in the beginning, everything, not all resources are bad, but it's just that something is always, it's like too many caveats. It's always something that is linked to something else. And then the organizations and institutions are linked to each other. So they all get kickbacks. Like they all couldn't, everything's connected. So it's like the interrelation makes the problem so much more strong. It becomes durable. Like when something is layered. For some reason, I'm thinking about like threads, like in a sheet. You know, the more threads, the more luxurious it is, the better the quality, the threading of a sheet. Let me look this up real quick. I don't know. It's taking me here. The higher the thread count, the more luxurious. So the more layers, the more comfortable it might feel, but it's an illusion. It's not really that comfortable. Like these societal norms are not really that comfortable, but you're led to believe that they're comfortable. It's just such a confusing place. It's such a all of the confusion leads you away from yourself. And it stops you from looking deeper within self to heal the broken. The word luxury means a state of great comfort and extravagant living. So we begin to think that things that are labeled as luxurious are when they're not. And then so many people strive for that luxury, not realizing that it's actually a detriment to them, a detriment to their soul, a detriment to their ability to love oneself, because people start to want more of what they feel gives them a sense of respect or recognition based off of like material things as opposed to themselves. It's not based off of anything real, like their own intellect or their own ability to complete or do something. It's based off of the flaws of the world. Like what many depend on to validate them are the flaws of the world, the lies of the world. It's just a very confusing thing that many people go through. And I feel like Spirit is bringing this up because it's a serious problem that needs to be corrected. So it's time to reconcile with yourself if you feel disconnected from yourself and you feel like there's more for you, but you haven't quite found it yet, or you had trouble answering the question about if you love yourself, and if you do love yourself, why do you love yourself, and what do you love about yourself? And because you love yourself, here's another question. Because you love yourself so much, what are certain things in life that you do not tolerate? You will not tolerate it because you know it's something that really disturbs you, and you can't compromise with that. You know, I feel like there's certain things that we should know that we shouldn't compromise with, because you would be selling yourself short and you would be lying to yourself if you were to continue on to move forward with certain things in life that you know that you're not okay with. Because that's another problem. Many people just go along with what they're not okay with and feel disconnected. Because when you go along with things that you're not okay with, it's like you're turning your back on yourself. You separate from your true nature. This is the problem. We have to get back to our true nature. That's what I think a lot about. I think a lot about the ancestors, because our ancestors actually teach us the way. They teach us what they learned, because there's things that they learned that maybe we're not paying too much attention to, and we can learn from them. Our ancestors' lives should give us insight, because what they went through, there's certain aspects of what they went through that we could be going through now. It's just the way is a little different because we're in a different time right now. Like in modern day times, things are a little different. However, they still can be correlated to the times of our ancestors. And it also creates a sense of motivation within you, to be motivated to know that you have some great people that walked this earth that did amazing things that you may not even know about. And if you hear their story, it could inspire you. There's not enough inspiration in the world right now. Like, it's just dry. Everything is dried up. It's like, imagine a beautiful garden. Oh, the Garden of Eden. That's what makes me think about the beautiful Garden of Eden. Now it's underwater. It's underwater. You can't see it. It's hidden. You can find it if you know what to look for. Christ consciousness. That is the garden. That is heaven on earth. You can find it if you know what to look for and you know how to detach from this place. But if you don't, you will feel like you're underwater. So it's time to reconcile with yourself. Reconcile with your natural way of being. If you don't know what your natural way is, that means that you could do some research about your ancestral lineage to find out more about your people and who they really were. And then you'll start to gain a sense of familiarity with something real, someone real. Because you can't really find familiarity with everything that's fake and flawed. Because the intent was wrong from the beginning. Because it's fabricated. And fabricated is when something is concocted with evil intent or ill intent. So if the intention was bad in the beginning, nothing is good about it. Nothing is good about our environment. Even though there are things that are good, if you look from a spiritual standpoint and you begin to reconcile with yourself, that's when things get good again. So if you're feeling bad, look at what I just said. Maybe it's because you're looking so much outside of yourself that all you see is the destruction that was intentionally placed here. But if you look inside of yourself, you find peace. You find the Garden of Eden and the Fountain of Life. And you find the love for yourself. And you become proud of yourself. You become more understanding. And your cup begins to overflow. Because when you look on the outside, if you're looking for validation and confirmation from an external space, your thirst will never be quenched. You'll always feel like there's something missing. You'll always feel a void. Because you haven't gone within enough to reconcile with yourself. So, what does that tell you all? What do you take from this message? Do you find this message helpful for you? And why? Why is this message helpful for you? What will you do now that you got this message? Does it light something up inside of you? These questions that Spirit wants you to ask yourself? Does it bring a spark within you to light a flame? To ignite that passion inside of you, to change your perspective of how you're viewing yourself and those around you, and how you see yourself? Bad relationships could also mirror a false image of yourself, of you. If you're, like, say for instance, I know many of you have gone through this. Even I've gone through this. Being in a relationship with somebody that I shouldn't have been with because they were not right. And you don't see it until you see it. And then sometimes even when you see it, you ignore it. And it's like they have this energetic mirror that they put in front of you saying that you're something that you're not. And then you begin to believe that. And it's funny, somebody could be so strong and still get caught up in there, in that space of believing the lies. When the lies that were forced onto you, most of the time they're just projections. Yeah, they're just projections, and they're projections from a spirit that is lost, a lost soul. Many times we end up with individuals who have inactive souls. And your soul might be active, or it could be like in between worlds, like trying to be active but not. Like trying to expand and grow and pop out, but it's like a push and pull because of certain people that are around you. It's like you trying to come up and something keeps pushing you down. You keep trying to come up and something keeps pushing you down. So this is why it's so important to pay attention to the relationships you have with people, because if they're not healthy, you want to get away from them. That's the first thing, because they're not good for you. They're going to cause a delay for you to actually answer your soul's cry. And they also distract. It's a delay and a distraction. Because, okay, say for instance, this person that you were with in the past or around, they delayed your soul's, or they delayed your response to your soul's cry because you were so busy trying to figure that situation out. They didn't there's certain people that will try to oppress your soul's growth. They don't even know what they're doing though. It's the demon within them. It suppresses your ability to spiritually improve. You have some people that do that just because that's the spirit that's on them. That's just what it is. Then you have some people that actually draw your spirit out so your spirit begins to feel free again. When your spirit comes out, when your spirit comes out from hiding, from being in the womb of your vessel, oh, tears will fall because you will see things you never saw before. And it's always so beautiful. It's like, oh, this was in here the whole time. I had this with me and I didn't know. It's like the gift of all gifts. Because you find but you find truths within you that help you to reconcile with your true nature. Because remember, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. We were dropped in here. We were dropped in here, and then we had to figure it out. And it was a whole long labyrinth, turns, lefts, rights, ups, downs, around the corner, make a U-turn a few times. And through all that, even when you feel like you came up a little bit in life, then you notice something else that ain't right. And then you're like, wait, something's not right. And then you don't know whether to address it or ignore it, or you don't know until you know. Sometimes God will put people in front of you when you needed to talk to them or hear them or whatever it is. God will place angels in front of you to just say a thing. And then you're like, wow, I never thought of it that way. Wow, my whole world has changed now because of from exposure to good. See, earth angels will present the good in the world and express the dangers of the bad and how to navigate through everything. And then it's always great when you come across someone that is able to simplify difficult topics in such a way where it's understood. And I just find it really beautiful how spirit works with us throughout our lives. It's just that most of the time we don't even realize it because we're not taught about it. But just think about all the times when you needed somebody to say something or do something, or somebody was there when you needed them, but you weren't really necessarily looking for them. But they came and you were grateful because they did a thing for you. And you were just thankful because they came at the right time. And there's something special about the timing, as well as the gift that they gave. Now, it could have been a physical gift that they gave you, or it could have been a gift of words, a gift of speech. Because our words can curse someone, or they could heal someone. So just think about all those times when you had the gift of a healing word from a person. You know, that's beautiful. Just think about that. And think about all the times when you were a gift to someone else by some words that you spoke. Think about it. Doesn't this prove that we're here for each other, but we're taught to fight each other? You see the confusion? It's everywhere. And only we can switch it up. Yeah. So I think that's it for this message. It's just a reconciliation. It's a reminder to reconcile with yourself if you feel like you've been detached from yourself. The key is to detach from the world and attach to self. Reconcile with your true nature and your soul's cry so that you can answer and put your focus on what's right, like on what's considered righteous. And that is for you to get back to yourself. Yes. So that's it for this message. Everything you do, do it with love. I'll see you in the next one.